Before the pod gets started, go ahead and leave us a rating on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever else you listen to the pod. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Yellow Squared podcast. And this is a very special episode of the podcast, isn't it, James? It is our first podcast away days. Yes, that is
Yes, it
correct.
is.
We
Indeed.
travelled to Leicester yesterday. We took the pod on tour, and we're just gonna be discussing the day in its entirety this episode, and then little look forward to Norwich on Tuesday. First of all, James, how are you doing?
I'm very well. Bit sad that we've lost our unbeaten run, but we still had a lovely day out yesterday. Always good to go and take in and away the atmosphere, and especially as there were so many Watford fans at Leicester yesterday in plentiful voice. Just unfortunate we didn't quite have the result go our way that we wanted it to go. But yeah, no, mate, I'm good. You all right?
Yeah, I'm really good. Yeah, it was lovely to finally get down to a game this season, rather than watching it from home due to various other commitments. So it was lovely to get down to a game. Watford fans were brilliant yesterday. We probably deserved 3 points, but unfortunate that Leicester had to get in there in the last sort of 15, 20 minutes and kill us off. But yeah, James, I think the most important thing we have to start with, because it is the
Yeah.
Yellow Square podcast. When
Uh-huh.
you're traveling to the football, you're talking some nonsense in the car on the way, aren't you? And what better
Plenty of nonsense.
nonsense to talk about than a little quiz? And we do a little quiz
Oh,
on the podcast, don't we?
that's a great segue. Very
It,
good.
that was cooking. I was cooking in my brain. That is right. Guess the player is back, and James, you are guessing this week, aren't you?
I am. It's my turn. It's 2-2.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I am feeling the pressure here. I feel like I have to get at least 2 points to keep it going. I'm slightly concerned with what you're going to chuck at me today. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. So, just so you know, if you haven't listened to the podcast before, or you need a little refresher of the rules, so I will give James 3 clues throughout the podcast on who this player is. If he guesses it off the first clue, it is 3 points. The second clue is 2 points, and the third clue, if he doesn't get it, it's 0 points, and if he does, it is 1 point. As you said before, James, it is currently 2-2
Hmm.
after 2 game weeks. So we've actually done pretty well, I would say,
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
guessing front. Um,
We've had Hogg and Abdi so far, haven't we?
exactly right. So
Mhm.
we will get into the first clue. James, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Come on, hit me with it, mate.
Okay, so this player signed the day before the start of the 2005-2006 season.
Oh. Is that the clue?
That is the clue in its entirety.
The day before.
The day before. Not during the window, the exact day before the first game of the season was played.
Oh, the day before. Now I'm pretty certain that I went to the opening day that season, which I think was Preston, and we lost 2-1.
It was indeed. That is impressive that you remember that.
Yeah, it is impressive. I can't remember who scored for us. It might have been Henderson. Um, I'm not sure, but if they signed the day before, I'm just trying to wrap my brains as to anybody who was sort of a big signing that turned up that day. And in lieu of thinking about who signed, I'm gonna have a stab in the dark then, mate. I'm gonna have a little guess, and I'm gonna say Mr. Darius Henderson.
Oh, that is unbelievable.
That's,
Well
is it
done.
right?
That is
Is it
exactly
right?
right. Darius Henderson, off the first guess.
Off the rip,
Three
baby.
points. Three
Come
points.
on.
Wow.
3-2. I'm
Wow.
sorry for all the listeners there. I've ruined the quiz for the afternoon. But
Wow.
what a guess. What a
Wow.
guess.
That is incredible. I respect that so much. Wow, that is
I'm
crazy.
proud. Did he score? I'm
He
sorry.
did.
I'm gonna
He
have to check.
actually did score against Preston. Yeah, on his on his debut. Wow.
Get in there. Oh, what knowledge that is.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Wow.
that's a win for the day.
That
All
puts
right.
you 5-2 up in the standings. And to be honest, I can only apologise for the viewers at home that didn't get
I
that clue, which I thought was pretty impossible clue. To be honest, I was thinking about adding on in the end. You know, he scored the next day, but I thought it might make it a bit too easy. But I can't believe you've gone on to smash it in one. Wow. Do you want to hear the
right.
other clues?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's hear the other cue. Let's hear the other clues. But
Okay,
let's just close down the pod after that. Yeah.
yeah, so the second clue was this player went on to make 118 appearances for Watford, scoring 31 goals in all competitions, which I thought might have thrown you off the striker scent.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have done actually.
And then the final clue, which would have been this player scored a penalty for Watford in a final which was not played at Wembley.
Oh, very good. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have given me old Darius at the last gasp there. That honestly, I'm really sorry, man. That was a real stab in the dark.
You've ruined it.
But
That's what you've done
yeah,
there.
sorry everybody. Fabulous. Right, well, let's move on.
Wow, I'm actually stunned. I can't believe it. He's ruined the segment. You've ruined the segment this week. I
That's so,
can't believe it.
that's so, that was a sorry.
5-2 up. Wow. Wow. That has really thrown me off. I genuinely can't remember what we're going to talk about now. Um,
Away days, Leicester.
the away days. Absolutely. So I think we travelled in a little bit of optimism, didn't we? Um,
Yeah, we did, mate. Yeah.
on the way to Leicester, and we pitched up at a little pub in Leicester for a couple drinks before going to the ground. And so I will insert said clip of us having a chat before we went into the ground.
All right, mate, we've arrived in Leicester. It's a very sunny day. Sat at the counting house, having a pub. You've got a cider in your hand, having a pint, having a cider.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about today?
Optimistic, very optimistic. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. 6 unbeaten, one the way up. Leicester way is difficult. We came here a couple of seasons ago and we lost 4-1, but looking forward to it. First game of the season for me.
Yeah.
I'm buzzing. I'm buzzing.
Yeah, you're ready for it. I feel like your heart is guarding your head a little bit, feeling optimistic. But what I was saying on the walk in is it's nice to have the little buzzer back going to a football game.
Yeah,
a bit of optimism, a bit of excitement. It feels like it's slowly coming back. So hopefully we can go and put in a performance today that at least we can be happy with.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Anything else you want to add, mate?
No.
No. We'll check.
On Watford.
Up the Watford. Come on, you on it. So we'll check back in at the ground.
Okay, so after the
Mm.
clip, so we headed into the ground into Leicester, the King
Mhm.
Power, and I think we pulled up the team sheet, and I think we were a little bit surprised, weren't we, James?
Yeah, I think we were well a little bit surprised, and then when you kind of took a couple of minutes, you realised that the players that had sort of dropped out had recently just come back from South America, or at the Americas, I should say. So with Kone and Aspria dropping to the bench, so they were probably anticipated changes, but it did throw up a few concerns really for the team. Based on sort of recent performances, particularly with Loser coming in and how he's performed lately. So there was a little bit of a concern as to the shape of the team and how it would perform. And I know we spoke before the game about sort of the upfront option and the trade-off between what you have for Bio versus Rajovic in that position and kind of what Ismail's thinking was. And clearly his thoughts pre-game and our thoughts was that he hopes that a chance falls to Watford and we have to be able to take that chance. So
Yeah,
he went with
yeah,
the sort of the finisher in the box rather than someone who will maintain the shape. Um, and I suppose sort of we can go on to that in a bit more detail as the first half unfolded. But yeah, I mean the squad was interesting. But I think there were reasons for why we set up the way we did.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that actually perfectly encapsulates what we say in our next little away days clip, which will be in right now.
All right, hey mate, we're in the ground now. Teams have just been announced. What do you think? What's the lineup?
Well, very obviously, Loser has come in to start for Kone. Asprey has come out as well, so I imagine it's just changed because of international break, whatever. Feeling good though. Worried about Loser, but hopefully he can provide a bit of quality and a good moment for us following Watford.
Yeah, I hope so. People looking good spirits here, lots of good energy. Obviously, the junior Hornets are here in force as well. So hopefully it should be a good following from Watford fans. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. And we'll see everybody at half-time.
See you later.
James, after this, obviously we got to our seats, whatever. Watford fans were in great voice all afternoon, weren't they?
Yeah.
But just before we get into the first half, interesting to see that we were running sort of little patterns of play in the warm-up, which just was various ways of attacking the box and getting some shots off, which looked fairly, I want to say like unscripted, really. It seemed like they were just left to do what they wanted, move the ball about, the little triangles, work some space for a shot. There was obviously no defence, but it was definitely more the defenders coming forward with the ball and fizzing it in, and then sort of playing off Norwich and Loser first time and all sorts like that. So, and to be fair, in the first half, and a little bit in the second half, I could definitely feel that sort of one-touch play was coming into fruition from what we'd been, what we've been working on. So those kind of things are interesting for me personally, because I haven't been to a game this season. So it was good for me to see, what we're doing in the warm-up and how we're setting up before a game. But yeah, James, any thoughts on that first half?
A couple of thoughts, and we spoke about it great length, and there was a couple of guys behind us who were sort of echoing our thoughts as well. And we know we sort of had a little bit of a chat to them. I think what we really struggled with in that first half was we couldn't hold the ball up, and we weren't able to get ourselves forward, and that stems from Rajovic's inability to win a header or put any sort of pressure on the centre back, which was frustrating. And he barely won a header in that first half, and the balls just weren't sticking to him. So Leicester were able to just sort of bring the ball forward again. It was a shame really, because actually when the halftime whistle went and sort of that first half, I thought we looked sort of solid, we looked combative, we looked like we had a plan, we defended really well, we looked brave, and that's kind of all you really want to see when you have a team going out to Leicester. It's going to be a tough afternoon. They're going to have a lot of the ball, and I thought we were disciplined, and we did. We did have opportunities to counter attack, and we did have opportunities to break forward, which we did, and we tried to. And obviously, we had a good chance, or it felt like a good chance within the first sort of 5-10 minutes, with a low ball across the box. And from our end, I don't know whether there was a deflection or anything, but it looked like it either just went underneath or just behind Rajovic, which was basically the chance that we needed to have fall to us, and the one you wanted to fall to Rajovic in the box. And that would have put a real different complexion on the game had we sort of tucked that one away. So there was optimism, and there was a real sense that we could go nick something on the counter. We knew we'd have to ride our luck, and there was some good saves made at the end of the half by Bachmann. But yeah, so yes, it was 0-0 at half time. But I think there was reason to be optimistic. But as we'll allude to in the next clip from our away day, I think we identified that there needed to be some changes in the second half.
Yeah.
All right, mate, it's half time, 0-0. What have you thought?
Oh, it's a bit nervy watching this. Leicester look very dangerous, but we've had a couple of chances on the counter, and I'm hopeful we can still get something from this game.
Yeah, we've looked good defensively, haven't we, today? I'm not too convinced about Loser or Rivich this afternoon. I don't know about you.
No, Rovic hasn't really done much yet. He needs to hold up the ball better, and Loser's just been Loser recently. Nothing much has come off for him, but hopefully something can happen with him in the second half.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Home fans getting a bit nervous, getting a bit impatient. So hopefully we can capitalise on that and pick up something in the second half.
So, James, having listened to the clip back now, I mean, first of all, how silly do we sound? Thinking we could go on to get a point away at the mighty Leicester. But yeah, you know what? After the first half finished, I was thinking, wow, yeah, we defended well and we looked compact and as a unit, and it was really nice to see how we defended. Obviously, we rode our luck at times, but you know, on the whole, Bachmann bailed us out like a couple times just before the end of the half. But you know what? There was always a little threat of us on the counter, and on another day, Rivich scores that chance in the first sort of 10 minutes. But it wasn't as if it was like a complete onslaught, if you know what I mean. Like, there was lots of waves of Leicester having a lot of possession and obviously playing some really great football. But, you know, it didn't feel like we were completely out of it, and it didn't feel like, you know, our goal is coming.
Yeah.
And, you know, after halftime, you know, it kind of, that belief started to grow, didn't it? That we could maybe get something out of a game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we both said was that we needed to change something up. It almost felt like we'd gotten through that first half of just keeping it tight, and the Leicester fans were starting to get a little bit frustrated. You could hear that in the crowd. They were a bit quieter towards the end of the first half. So it felt like, you know, to a degree, we'd done our job. We'd silenced Leicester. We'd posed them. We knew they were then going to have to come and, you know, pose another problem, or do something different, or maybe, you know, change their shape, which is kind of good, because that means that there might be some opportunities for us to exploit on the counter. And I think what we said that would have to happen is we needed to change something now, to pose a bit more of a threat and be a bit more aggressive. And we kind of said, you know, we need. I personally said I would swap Rivich with Bio early, because his hold-up play is slightly better. It felt like we needed to just try and bring people like Kayembe, Sema, Ince into the game a little bit more. Chakvatadze or Kone, if they came off the bench, and Loser, they needed to be brought in the game higher up the pitch, because on the occasions where we did win the ball up the pitch, our forward play was pretty good. Kayembe, I thought, did really well in patches, winning the ball high up the pitch, but there wasn't really anybody to help him out. So we needed something different, and I think we needed to be a little bit braver, and to try and pose Leicester a problem. And I think we did make some interesting substitutions. We did make some interesting changes. I think Livermore came off because he was on a yellow, but you know, Kone and Chakvatadze coming on for Loser, and Livermore looked more dynamic, looked more
bit more
offensive,
attacking,
which you know, I don't necessarily mind too much. And there was a point where, you know, Chakvatadze was winning the ball, you know, and driving forward, and Leicester were having to fall back. And so it did work to a degree, but obviously that does mean that there would be space in behind, and Leicester sort of started to grow into the game once we lost sort of Livermore in that base of the midfield, which kind of proves our point from a couple of pods ago, I guess. We're saying how important Livermore is to this side now. Yeah, sorry, a bit of a ramble there, mate. So, but that was kind of our thoughts, and what we expected to see, and then sort of the second half sort of went on from there, and it sort of unravelled a little bit towards the end of the game, didn't it?
Yeah, I think, you know, Leicester before that had lost 2 games in a row, and so naturally they're going to instantly want to bounce back from the international break, chance to reset, you know, and so I think strangely enough we would have benefited from from going into that game full of confidence, 5-0 win over Rotherham. They've lost 2 in a row. So maybe outside of the international break, it would have been a different story. But I think we had a good game plan, and for the first sort of 70-75 minutes, it was working.
Yeah.
Obviously, Vardy came on. That got the Leicester fans really going, to be fair. Because it
Yeah.
was pretty silent before that, wasn't it?
Yeah. You really can see how much of a talisman he is, can't
Yeah,
you, to
yeah,
that
oh yeah,
Leicester City team? Because the fans just sort of knew that there'd be a chance that came to him,
yeah,
which it did, and he ballooned it over, which was wonderful.
yeah,
But yeah, then it sort of unraveled a little bit, didn't it?
yeah. I think the referee yesterday, made a couple of strange decisions. He was very card happy, but I think I actually read somewhere that he's only a part-time referee, and this was one of his first games refereeing the championship, and
Blimey, really?
he's looking to become a full-time referee. So I think he's naturally going to want to really referee the game,
Yeah.
rather than let it go at points. And I think he was slightly influenced at times by the Leicester crowd. I think Vardy could have easily had 3 yellow cards when he came on. Um,
Well, yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think it's important to stress here that I think both you and I agree that the result was completely fair. And to be
oh yeah,
honest, 2-0 was probably fair based on the chances Leicester created. But I think what stings for both of us was the manner of the 2 goals that we conceded
yeah,
felt felt a little bit harsh on us, particularly the first one, because you're right. I mean, Vardy was already on a yellow, and when you watch the highlights back, he he looks like he clears out Hoot
yeah. He does. Yeah,
pretty heavily for the throw in, and
yeah,
then I mean to everyone in the ground that day, it looked like a foul throw. It looked like a foul throw to me, which set up the free kick. So
yeah.
um,
And it's
yeah, a
unfortunate
little
because
bit frustrating.
it is a great save from Backman, and then we just couldn't clear our lines. And to be fair, it's a striker's goal. Um, but yeah, just the manner we conceded, and then the second goal, in person, it looks like there's absolutely no contact, and
Yeah,
he's run about 3 steps past him and fallen down. It's a typical Vardy penalty.
yeah,
And it's not me trying to be not. It's not me being salty or anything, because ultimately we deserve to lose 2-0. It's just
yeah,
based on the chances they had throughout the game and whatnot. Because Dewsbury Hall hit the post, and obviously Vardy had that
yeah,
chance which he ballooned over. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it seems a bit bizarre. But I think what we what I'm struggling with is that fair enough. It's a penalty. But whatever Backman says after to get a second yellow and be red carded
yeah.
is stupid. And as the captain of Watford Football Club, you need to. I think his temperament is too irrational. It's too
Yeah.
it changes so quickly, and he has a bit of a red mist streak in him, as if you recall
Yeah,
back to the Kung
I
Fu
think you're
Kick
right. Yeah,
incident.
yeah,
And I think obviously it's frustrating for him. It's frustrating for everyone in the ground, because from our point, and from all the angles I've seen, there doesn't look to be much, if any, contact from Backman on Vardy. But he goes down, he makes it look good. And I think the weird thing for me is that I don't think anyone in the ground thought it was a penalty. I thought he was going to book Vardy for diving.
it was very confusing, wasn't it?
And none of the Leicester fans sort of celebrated there being a penalty given or really appealed for the penalty, which was the other
Yeah,
weird thing. So everyone was a bit confused, and then Backman's just sent off. And but yeah, I think what is frustrating for me, I don't know about you, James, but it's just really
yeah.
frustrating that he can't keep his head there. And even when it's so frustrating, you can't say something to the referee when you're
Well,
the captain.
well, yeah, yeah, agreed. And it sounds like his first yellow card, that what Ismail said after the game was when he ran sort of half the length of the pitch to have a go at the ref for something.
Yeah,
Um, which you can't really be doing. And it points to our sort of comments about having a goalkeeper as the as your captain.
Yeah,
You it puts you in a very difficult position because as a captain, you do have the right to go and ask the referee and challenge the referee. But the problem with your goalkeeper is that he has to come charging out to speak to the ref. So he'll always look a bit more aggressive. If you've got a big, 6 foot
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
dude sprinting out to shout at you, you're always going to look more aggressive than say, your midfielder who's already in the heat of the battle, being on the referee's shoulder already.
yeah,
So I think actually, really, how it looks and how it presents itself is very difficult. And I know it's tough because he's just signed a new 5-year deal and he's been made the club captain, but yeah, I think Ismail's got a big decision to make with regards to the discipline because for me, I look at someone like Hoot or Livermore and I think they're more of the leadership
yeah,
material that
yeah.
I would want to see um, um, captaining the side and being that person that
Mm.
speaks to the referee. Because yeah, it was ridiculous that he's got himself a second yellow card for dissent and then a subsequent sending off.
Yeah, yeah, it's a frustrating one, isn't it? But you know what? It gives Ben Hamer the chance to go in goal again and maybe get himself that 100th career clean sheet. So maybe there's a little positive for him and a bit of an incentive to keep a clean sheet on when we play Norwich this week.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, James, it was a bit of a. It felt a little bit flat after the second goal in the away end, but I loved the unity. After the first goal, the Watford fans were still singing.
yeah,
Really still getting behind the team, and that chance
yeah.
Porteous had to
Wow,
to level things up.
yeah,
Everyone was saying should have passed it to Martins, but you know what? Since I've seen it back on the highlights, if he just puts it anywhere other than centre of the goal, it should go in. But you know what? Hats off to him for creating the chance for himself and getting into the area. But
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know what? You wish it falls to someone else, don't you? In
I
that
do, yeah,
scenario. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
I agree with you on that one. It's a shame because if we do score that goal, I think it's a very different proposition, and maybe we hold out for the 1-1. I don't think we give away that penalty. Um, and you're right, Martins was in a great position for just a little layoff. But my concern with the layoff to Martins, he would have had to have hit that first time on his weaker left foot. I would worry that he'd try and cut back in. Um,
yeah,
so I don't necessarily mind. Porteous had the momentum going forward, and the defenders were already retreating. And yeah, you're right. The shot ended up just going straight down the middle. And I think by his reaction, he knew he hadn't caught it the way he wanted
yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so yeah, but those are the chances. If you're going to go to Leicester City and pick up a result, you have to take those chances that come your way.
mm.
And we just didn't on the day. So yeah, frustrating. And I think we sort of left the ground a bit disappointed with the result and how it had unfolded. But I don't think we left disappointed at the application of the team and the direction that the team is heading. I don't think this result and this defeat changes our sort of view, or at least me, doesn't change my view on how the team is developing at the moment.
No, no, and you know what? I felt like the fans were still behind the team, even when we went 1-0 down.
Yeah, yeah,
Naturally, 2-0 down. It's already the 96th minute, and it's 95,
yeah,
90 plus 5 added on. So people are naturally going to leave after that point. But you know what? Um, a chorus of Watford Till I Die was going around after we conceded and were under a little bit of pressure, which was really good to see because the Leicester fans
yeah,
were, they were up and um, they were pretty loud. But yeah, it was really good to hear that the whole way and joined in with that, and it's something that um, you know, I didn't see last season. For example, going away
no,
to Coventry,
hmm
was was an interesting one because it was like, you know what, we went 2-0 up, but as soon as Coventry pulled it back to 2-2, there was nothing really from that away end, and I think that epitomises the where Watford fans were last season in comparison to now, because
Yeah, agreed.
arguably we're doing worse in the table, but there's more
Yeah,
unity in the team, and there's something to get behind. You know,
yeah,
I think the
yeah, yeah.
fans are starting to believe in Ishmael a bit more and believe in the team and stick with them. It was going to be a tough game going away to Leicester, who are essentially a Premier League team. Let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah. It
And
was a cup game, wasn't it? Really, when you think
yeah,
about it,
really.
effectively. Yeah,
But you know what? It was great to see, and yeah, we were just a little bit disappointed in the overall result. And I think it's just the way that we lost, rather than the performance itself. Because I was actually weirdly like kind of positive about the way we defended and the way we'd stuck together and had created chances for ourselves on the counter. Um,
yeah, yeah,
Having watched us play away at Sunderland,
yeah.
a
Well, I was.
couple about a month and a half ago, however long it was ago, I
Yeah.
just felt like we had absolutely nothing, absolutely nothing. Um,
Well, they were two very different 2-0 defeats, weren't they?
yeah, yeah, that is very true. Yeah, um,
Um,
yeah. So James, looking forward to this
yeah,
week. You are going
yeah,
to Norwich at home.
yeah.
Um,
Absolutely, I am.
Looking ahead, Norwich. I think they won a couple games in a
They
row
did.
recently, but apart from that, they've not been in great form. So I'm going to say that we do get 3 points on Tuesday. I don't know how about you.
Uh, I would like to think that we've got a good chance of 3 points. Yeah. I I'm hoping that Norwich come to get points off us,
Mm.
because I think that will help us find space, particularly for if Tom Ince starts, or Asprilla or Martins, those kind of players thrive on space to attack. So hopefully Norwich come to get some points, which I think will lend itself to our style of or lend itself to us being able to get in behind. But I think this one is the bigger test of where the team is at the moment. Norwich not particularly been great. I think you're right, they've got back-to-back wins now for the first time in a while. Uh, and I think it's most important for us to get something out of this game, and ideally 3 points. I think we're well placed to go and get the win. We just have to sort of take whatever positives we can from Leicester and sort of implement it against Norwich, because they're clearly not as good as Leicester were, and I think
No.
we've got a good chance.
Yeah, I completely agree. So fingers crossed for 3 points, to kickstart some of that momentum we've had over the past 7 games, and yeah, we can see ourselves moving back up the table, because at the moment I think we slipped down to 15th after that defeat. But to be honest, I don't really feel like that reflects where we are. As you said before we started recording, we're only about 7 points off the playoffs. So if we
Yeah,
can
still
string a
very.
few results together as we have been doing, as
Mm.
teams around us can continue to drop points, and then we could be top half in no time, which would be really decent for me.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And fingers crossed we can sort of keep moving forwards.
Yes, yes. So quickly, James, before we finish off the podcast, I did want to mention the Watford women.
Hmm.
They have been struggling. I think is fair to say. Um,
Yeah,
they lost to Sheffield United last weekend.
yeah,
As Luz actually did pick up a win, so Watford have gone bottom. Then in midweek, they took on Crystal Palace away from home in the FA Women's Super League Cup, and lost 3-0 in that as well. So they are properly struggling. However, there seems to be some sort of very long break, as they aren't
yeah,
playing again until the 17th of December. So
yeah.
bit of a weird one for me. I don't really know how that works, but good chance to reset, get back on the training ground, work on some things, and then go again for the second half of
Yeah.
the season. I think a
Yeah,
little reset
absolutely.
is needed.
Yeah, absolutely. It really does look like it's unravelled a little bit, and uh, it looks like they're in a real battle now to stay up halfway through the season for them. Um, and yeah, they need to have a real run of form if there's going to be any hope of staying up.
Yeah, I think they can do it. But I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful for them. Just they need to stop those defeats coming against teams in and around the bottom half of the table, and
Yeah,
not necessarily worry about what's going on further up. If they focus on themselves, get some points here and there, I think they'll be absolutely fine. They've got some quality players in that side.
yeah, yeah.
So yes, James, anything you wanted to speak about just before we finish off the podcast?
Just yeah, just two thoughts. Firstly, uh, thinking about poor old Jeremy Ngakia out for a couple of months after having ankle surgery.
Mm.
Just feels such a shame for the guy. He just gets himself into the team, just gets a bit of form going, and we're all talking about, he's starting to develop and become a key part of the side, and then he gets another injury. And I think, unfortunately for him, that's going to be the tale of his career. Just a series of unfortunately timed injuries. So thoughts go to him, and hopefully he comes back stronger and um, doesn't sort of have a massive drop off. And also, probably should have talked about it at the start, but just how good Elton's interview with Gary Lineker was.
Yeah.
I put the tweet out. It's amazing that we've got him associated with the club. They've renamed Occupation Road the Yellow Brick Road,
Yeah.
and he just spoke so well about Watford and football in general. I just really wanted to sort of, I guess, say how proud I am, and maybe I echo you, mate.
Yeah.
To have someone like that associated with our club. So yeah, just two things that happened in the week, which I just wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
That's all from me, mate.
Yeah, that is everything from me as well. Thank you so much for listening to this little special version of the Yellow Squared podcast, Away Days. Hopefully, we'll be back at some point with another one before the end of the season.
Mm.
But if not, we will be back for a little double game week next podcast as we talk all things Norwich. Take care, guys.
Cheers, lads. Come on, you Hornets.